Hello everyone. In previous video we have discussed about our fifth chapter, industrial sickness. In that we have discussed meaning and definition of sick units, signal symptoms as well as the causes behind the sick units. In this video we are going to study about the consequences or the effects of industrial sickness, also measures, and also the measures to solve the problems of industrial sickness. So first we have here is effects or consequences of industrial sickness. Under that we have 6 points. Huge financial losses to bank and other financial institutions, loss of employment opportunities, industrial disputes, adverse effect on investment and entrepreneurs, wastage of scarce resources, loss of revenue to government. So let us discuss this one by one. First one we have is huge financial loss to banks and other financial institutions. The banks and other financial institutions suffer from huge financial losses when the borrowing small industrial units become sick and fail to repay their loans due to bankruptcy. Here you can see from 2000 to 2001 the number of sick units has been increased to 4,80,280 till 2016 and 17, and the amount or the loan they have taken from the bank, that is bank credit, has also been increased to 326.74 billion. Okay, so the lending capacity of the banks and other financial institutions is adversely affected when these large funds are locked up in the sick units. Recovery of overdues takes an unduly long period of time. But even then, only a small percentage of overdue debt is recovered. Please remember at least 4 years of number of units, sick units, as well as the outstanding bank credit of 4 years. Next we have loss of employment opportunities. The closure of sick and non-viability of small industrial units results in widespread unemployment in the country. Loss of employment to millions of people aggravates the most dangerous socio-economic problem of unemployment in a labor surplus country like ours. According to an estimation made by S.S. Khanna, nearly 30 lakhs workers are likely to be affected by the closure of sick units and weak units, which accounts for 6% of the employment in industrial sector. Out of total 30 lakhs workers likely to be affected by closure of sick units, even more than two-thirds, that is about 68% of the total will be rendered jobless in small scale sector alone. The third one we have is industrial dispute. The closure of sick unit causes not only unemployment but also leads to industrial unrest. Whenever the workers are retrenched and rendered out of jobs, the trade unions oppose it strongly and resort to strike and other severe consequences. Such disturbance threaten the peace and the tranquility of the industrial environment, resulting in the setback to industrial production. The fourth one we have is adverse effect on investment and entrepreneurs. Industrial sickness causes adverse effects on the prospective investors and the entrepreneurs. Due to sickness, the value of the shares of such units tumble down, which in turn adversely affect the stock market of the country, and this creates a psychology of despair for investment among the prospective investors. Further, the failure and the closure of sick units causes great unhappiness and frustration among the entrepreneurs. Industrial climate becomes non-conducive for industrial development. The next one we have wastage of scarce resources. Industrial sickness results in huge wastage of valuable but scarce national resources. In an underdeveloped country like India, where capital is already scarce, a large amount of investment in sick units means a great national loss. Reduction in output and the blockage of valuable capital leads to wastage of scarce national resources. Next one we have loss of revenue to government. The government raises a large part of its revenue from industrial units by way of various taxes and duties levied on them. But when a large number of industrial units become sick, the possibility of raising so much revenue from the sick units is greatly reduced. Thus, the industrial sickness results in loss of revenue to the government. The shortage of revenue finally affects the functioning of the economy as a whole. Briefly, what we can say here is that whatever may be the cause of industrial sickness, the results is the same, namely loss of employment and production, wastage of scarce national valuable resources, widespread suffering, shortage of goods, etc. Thus, industrial sickness is a bane on the Indian economy and the society as well. Okay, the next point we have here is steps. This is the next concept, okay, not point, sorry. Steps, measures to solve the problem of industrial sickness, or the steps to control the industrial sickness. We have here two measures. First one is suggestive measures, and then we have remedial measures. Under suggestive measures we have 6 points, and in the remedial measures we have the 10 points. Let us discuss this. First one we have under suggestive measure is early identification. Industrial sickness is not an overnight occurrence, but it is a gradual process taking from 5 to 7 years, eroding the health of an industrial unit beyond cure. Eroding here means to destroy something slowly. Therefore, an early identification and detection of sickness in the first and the foremost measure in detecting and reducing the industrial sickness. If there is a delay in the identification and detection of sickness, it would be mainly responsible for such high proportion of non-viable units among the identified sick units. It is therefore unnecessary to evolve and develop appropriate yardsticks to identify the sickness at an early date. Next we have integrated attitude. The attitudes of 3 different sets of the industrial unit, namely management, financial institutions and laborers, do not converge because they view the problem of sickness quite differently and not uniformly. For example, or for instance, the management of the unit prefers to close the unit if it feels that it is not viable. The financial institutions think that the whatever can be salvaged should be salvaged. The laborers of the unit argue that in the event of the closure of unit, they would lose their job, provident fund and the other benefits, and hence the unit should not be closed, but it should continue its production. Thus, all 3 wings of the industrial unit drag in different directions. There is therefore great need to integrate the different views of the 3 wings of the unit. The unit can be salvaged in best interest of all 3 wings. In case these diverse viewpoints could be properly integrated, their different approaches could be integrated and their interests could also be converged. Next we have special dealings. At present, a small sick units fall within the purview of BIFR, that is Board for Industrial and Financial Reconstruction. It will be better if a separate division is opened to deal with sickness in the small scale industrial units, because small scale industrial units are characterized by different set of problems and prospects as compared to medium and large scale industrial units. Next one we have is regular rehabilitation program. It is found that the rehabilitation program for sick small industrial units are often carried out in a ad hoc and haphazard manner. The rehabilitation package provided to the small sick units consists of only financial measures like rescheduling of debts, sanctioning of additional term loans for installation of new machines, waiver of the part of the loans or interest thereon, enhancement of working capital, etc. But other problems such as managerial, marketing, power supply, raw material supply, etc., are equally as important as finance. But they have not been given any attention in the rehabilitation program. Hence, there is a great need to provide for managerial efficiency, marketing of the products, adequate supply of power and essential raw materials, and quality control in rehabilitation programs. Next one we have periodical review. At a very initial stage, the accounts of the small scale units which have borrowed from bank and other financial institutions should be periodically reviewed by them in order to identify units which are becoming sick or which are prone to sickness. The Reserve Bank of India and the Government of India should be requested to direct the banks and the other financial institutions to furnish periodically information on sickness to the agencies like BIFR implementing the rehabilitation program to facilitate them to take appropriate action. Next, imparting needed knowledge. The past experience indicates that many small scale industries fall sick because of the improper opportunity scanning made by the entrepreneur themselves. They start an industrial unit mainly to avail of the subsidies, incentives and exemptions from the government. We all know that a small scale industry entrepreneur is like a one man band. He may possess one or two or three ingredients or requisites, but he does not possess all. For example, an entrepreneur may have some land, building, machinery, etc., but he has no experience in the functional area like production, marketing, management, etc. Therefore, the need of the situation is to impart the required knowledge to the new entrepreneurs in various functional area through training program such as entrepreneurship development program. So all these are our suggestive measures to solve or to resolve the problem of industrial sickness. Next we have the remedial measures. Under that we have 10 points. Government policies and measures, Reserve Bank of India's measures, financial assistance, technical assistance, reconstruction and rehabilitation, taxation relief, that is income tax, excise relief, BIFR Act, Companies Amendment Act and others. So first one we have here is government policies and measures. The central government has framed several policies, measures from 1978 onwards. Under that we have Sikh Industrial Policy 1978, Sikh Industrial Policy 1981, Sikh Industrial Companies, that is Special Provision Act 1985 and margin money schemes. The scheme was liberalized in 1987. Okay, so this is the first point. Second we have Reserve Bank of India measures. Under this we have so many points. First one is setting up of Sikh Industrial Undertaking Cells. The RBI has set up Sikh Industrial Undertaking Cell to function as a clearing house to provide information of Sikh unit. The RBI acts as a coordinating agency between the government, banks, financial institutions and other agencies for the purpose of handling various issues related to industrial sickness. I haven't noted down here the sub points under first and second point, but surely I will send you the notes. Second point here is constitution of a coordination committee. A standing coordination committee has been constituted by the RBI to consider issues relating to coordination between commercial banks and term lending institutions on ongoing basis. Next we have Rehabilitation Finance Cell. A special cell called Rehabilitation Finance Cell has been set up within the Rehabilitation Finance Division of Industrial Development Bank of India, that is IDBI, for the purpose of attending to the cases of financial sickness of the industrial units. Next, the fourth one we have RBI's guidelines to banks. The RBI has issued suitable guidelines to the commercial banks in order to ensure that The potentially viable SIC units in the small scale sector receive due attention and timely support from the banks. Next one we have is viability study. The RBI has empathetically pointed out the only those SIC units which are potentially viable should be taken up for the consideration and rehabilitation. In fact, the viability study should contain a sensitive analysis in respect of risk involved. Next, we have clarification given by RBI. The RBI has given a clarification that the small scale units which become due to mismanagement, willful default, unauthorized diversion of funds, dispute among the partners, etc., should not be taken for rehabilitation, and the necessary steps should be taken by respective banks for recovery of the outstanding dues. So these Reserve Bank of India's measures are really important. They may ask you for the 5 marks. Next one we have is financial assistance by SFCs. The SFCs have formulated a scheme for rehabilitation of SIC units. Under this scheme, various reliefs and concessions have been provided by the IDBI's refinance scheme and the guidelines of the RBI. There are some steps which have been followed by IDBI refinance scheme. The first one is funding of overdue interest, waiver of penal interest, rescheduling of loans, and the last is margin money for additional term loans. Additional finance assistance is also given for installation of necessary additional equipment. It's all about the financial assistance. Next we have technical assistance. The technical consultancy organization called TCO provides several services to SIC industrial units which have low profitability. These services are as follows. First one is diagnostic study to assess the following of existing industrial units and diagnosing the cause of sickness. Second, rehabilitation plans for reviewing viable SIC units. Third, providing technical, managerial and commercial counseling. So it's all about the TCO and technical assistance. Next we have reconstruction and rehabilitation. In 1971, the Government of India set up a reconstruction corporation called IRCI, that is Industrial Reconstruction Corporation of India, to fortify the industrial structure for providing reconstruction and rehabilitation assistance to units which are facing the risk of closure but which have an economic justification of reconstruction and which can be made healthy with adequate assistance. There are some functions which have been undertaken by IRCI, that is first one, to provide financial help to SIC industrial units. Next, to provide managerial and technical help to SIC industrial units. Third, to secure help of other financial constitutions and the government agencies for ensuring the revival and rehabilitation of SIC units. Fourth, to provide consultancy services to banks and issues relating to SIC industrial units. In 1985, the Government of India set up IRBI, that is Industrial Reconstruction Bank of India, because the IRCI was facing certain constraints and impediments in the course of its operation. Hence, the RBI was set up to act as a principal credit and reconstruction agency for the construction and rehabilitation of SIC units through assistance for the modernization, diversification, expansion, or the rationalization, and for coordinating the similar work of the other institutions employed. The IRBI is wholly owned by the Government of India. There are some objectives behind IRBI. Those are, first one is to act as a lending institution and as a reconstruction agency. The second one, to diagnose the various sick or ailing units and give advice for remedial action. Third, to restructure the management of the unit. Fourth, to provide technical and managerial guidance. Fifth, to act as a securing assistance from banks financial assistance, and other government agencies. The IRBI gives highest preference to the units which are passing through a crisis and which are facing closure in granting reconstruction assistance. Thus, the IRBI has been entrusted with the task of preventing industrial sickness and rehabilitating sick units, that is industrial sick units. Next one we have is taxation relief, that is income tax relief. Under section 72A of Income Tax Act as amended in 1977, tax benefit is granted to those healthy units which take over the sick units by amalgamation in order to review them. The accumulated losses and the unabsorbed depreciation of the merging unit would be allowed to the carried forward and set off in the hands of the merged units when the merger is accepted by the Government of India. So in 2021 they have taken so many amendments regarding the sick units. Next we have is excise relief. The Government of India has formulated a scheme in 1981 to help the sick industrial units by providing excise loan through designated financial institutions which acts agents of the government. This scheme is applicable to any industrial undertakings whose accumulated losses have resulted in the erosion of 50% or more net worth during the immediately preceding 5 years at the end of the financial years. So the Government of India has been taking so many measures to solve or resolve the problem of sick industries. Even though from past 10 years it has been engaged in those activities which help the sick units to resolve their problems. Next we have is BIFR Act. What is this? This is called as Board for Industrial and Financial Reconstruction Act. In short we call it as BIFR. In order to tackle the problem of industrial sickness, the Government of India has established the BIFR under the Sick Industrial Companies Act of 1985. The BIFR has been vested with the powers to institute the necessary inquiries to determine whether or not the sick unit is sick. If the BIFR comes to the conclusion that the unit has become sick, it can give reasonable time to the unit to make its net worth positive, or it can devise suitable measures such as change of management, internal reconstruction of capital structure, or merger with healthy unit, sale or leasing out a part or a whole of undertaking, or its amalgamation. The Act also contains a provision that if BIFR is satisfied that a person has been responsible for diversion of funds or for managing the affairs of the unit in a manner detrimental to the interest of the unit, then the BIFR shall direct the banks and other financial institutions not to extend any financial assistance for a period of 10 years to such a person or a firm in which such a person is a partner, or to a company in which such a person is a director. Next we have is other measures, that is other remedial measures. Under we have a single window scheme and merger of small scale units with big units. First one we have is single window scheme. This scheme was withdrawn by the Small Industries Development Bank of India, that is SIDBI, under the refinance scheme to enable modernization and technology upgradation for potential viable units undertaking rehabilitation scheme. Second, merger of small scale units with big units. Because of the limited resources at the disposal, a large number of the small sick units may have to be permitted to closure or liquidate. However, a fewer number of sick units may be picked for revival, that is rehabilitation, and a large number of weak units may be combined together to prevent their sickness. It seems suitable to change the adage, what cannot be cured must be endured. but what cannot be cured should be ended. But merger of a large number of sick units will be welcome measure only when complete social security for workers displaced due to the closure of sick units is prevalent in the society. So this is all about the remedial measures. Next we have is the definition of industrial sickness. According to Sick Industrial Companies Act 1985, a unit is defined as sick when a company is registered for not less than 7 years. As we have already discussed about this, when a company is registered at least for 7 years, that would be a sick unit. If it incurred losses for the current and preceding financial year. So if the company is incurring losses for current year as well as for the previous year, financial year, and its net worth was eroded. Eroded means to destroy something slowly. So the company's net worth is destroying slowly. Even 50% or more of the net worth of the past financial year is eroded because of the accumulated losses. So which means industry has been incurring losses. Here we can see that a unit which is incurring losses for the previous year, current year, and for the following years, which means these losses turned out to be accumulated losses and which erode the net worth of the company 50% or more of that. So it is very simple to understand that a company or a unit which has registered itself for 7 years and incurring losses previous year, current year as following years, and the 50% or more of it net worth of that unit has been eroded. So that would be considered as the industrial sickness. I hope you have understood this. Next we have is the stages the stages of industrial sickness. How a unit becomes sick? What are the stages? As we have studied that there are no time. Industrial sickness is not a overnight occurrence, but it is a gradual process, as we have discussed, right? So when a unit is called as normal, first stage is normal unit, right? When it generates sufficient internal surpluses or profit, all operating areas are functioning efficiently, current ratio satisfactory, that is 2:1, right? Not below 2:1 or not even close to 1:1. Net worth is positive as well as the debt equity ratio is also favorable. So when all these points are there in a unit, then that unit is called as normal unit. But when it tends to sickness, second step is tending towards the sickness. When it tends towards the sickness, when continuous decline in the profit, as we have discussed, the sick unit is one which is incurring loss for the previous year, for the current year, and for the following years. So if there are continuous or persistent losses in the decline in the profit, that would be considered as tending towards the sickness of an unit. Next, likely to incur losses in the succeeding years also, not only in the previous year as well as the current year, but a company is likely to occur losses in the succeeding years or the following years, or in we can say ಮುಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಲಾಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಎದುರಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇನ್ ಒನ್ ಆರ್ ಮೋರ್ ಆಪರೇಷನಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾಸ್. ಸೊ ಅ ಕಂಪ್ನಿ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ಸಿಕ್ ವೆನ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ several areas, especially in the operation areas, then it tend towards the sickness. Third is incipient sickness. Cash losses incurred in the last year and expected to incur in the current year as well. So this is just the definition of sick unit. It incurs the cash losses for the past year as well as for the current year. Then deterioration in current ratio and debt equity ratio. Obviously, when a company's current ratio tend towards less than 1:1 and the debt equity ratio also deteriorates, it means it is not in its ideal ratio, then it would be called as sick unit. Next we have contraction in the net worth. Contraction means kuguike. When the net worth start eroding, then the company can be called as a sick unit. This is the third step. The fourth step of it is sickness stage. In this stage, all functional areas of the unit become inefficient. The unit has completely lost its net worth, right? Where cash losses incurred in the last few years are expected to incur cash losses in the current year as well as the succeeding years. Current ratio is less than 1:1. Debt equity ratio has worsened considerably. Contraction of the net worth. This is our fourth step. Next, last we have chronic sickness. In this, what happens? The unit or the industry has destroyed themselves completely. Cash losses accumulated equals to the more than entire net worth, no access to finance, stoppage of manufacturing operations, and revival is very difficult. Okay, so these are the 5 steps of an sickness of an industry. So remember this for the 5 marks, or as you may can ask this for the 15 marks. Next we have prediction of sickness. In this we have 2 models, univariate model and multiple discrimination analysis. On this we have some problems. I'll discuss this in the next class. Thank you.